Some of these I will skip and make separate topical videos on them. Others I will skip altogether, because I want to focus on the most rare and unknown ones in this video. In many of my videos over the years, I've been throwing out a lot of different Bible facts, specific apologetics to claims made in Matthew, deity claims by Jesus, as well as responding to skeptical objection in this account. In this video, however, I will be doing something different. I'm gonna now take you backstage to the culture of when Matthew was writing this down. And yes, this is also something I have previously defended, here and here and here. Number 1. Escaping to Egypt when Jesus was born, which I have a video on, by the way. An insight you may be interested in is this. Emperor Augustus had Pax Romana, which translates to Roman peace, as a vision for the Roman Empire. He wanted to passivate the countries that they had subdued, to ensure safe business, trading and travel, to promote more well-being and build great trust to the empire. Egypt at this time, since the year 31 BC, was a province in the Roman Empire, just like Judea was a province. So all travel between these two countries was seen as safe. Many Jews were also living in Egypt at this time. Number 2. That the Holy Family settled in Nazareth and that Jesus was to be called a Nazarene is actually a very interesting one, if we go and look at a couple of the prophecies about what is also said about the Messiah in this respect. Nazarene was not associated with something good. It was a bad slang of a name to have over you, as one of low status and to be rejected. Number 3. When Jesus is being tempted by Satan in the wilderness, Matthew is not giving a commentary directly like the Apostle Paul did before Matthew was written, in his letters to the Corinthians, Ephesians and Romans, of Jesus as the second Adam. But it is quite present in this story. Jesus is tempted by Satan multiple times, but like Matthew reports, unlike Adam, Jesus does not give in to the temptations. Number 4. You know, in the beginning of Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus says, "You are the salt of the earth." But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. Well, here's an interesting fact. Normally, salt never loses its saltiness and taste. But the Dead Sea salt that is created by evaporation from the water is actually known to be useless over time. So it may be this salt that Jesus is referencing here. Other types of salts that are not completely pure or mixed with other minerals also lose its saltiness over time. Number 5. In the part of the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus says, "If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go it then 2 miles." The cultural context here is that the land of Israel was under the Roman Empire, and the law was that those employed by the emperor, that being a soldier or another official in his name, had the right to demand any one of the subjects to give them their horse, or to follow them if they did not want to give them their horse. That is, demand the person alone to go with them for 1 Roman mile, carrying their gear or armory. 1 Roman mile was 1,000 steps. Number 6. Hypocrites. The word Jesus is using here, hypocrites in Greek, is derived from the same word we get the word actor from. The original audience of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and its readers would here be thinking of showmen walking around in the street with a mask, and these masks were designed to enhance the voice so that the showman could also be heard very well. Jesus is, in other words, painting quite a picture of those who fast in order to be seen by the people. Number 7. The phrase in the Sermon on the Mount by Jesus, "For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." This was actually a very well-known Jewish quote. Number 8. Only 2 times does Jesus acknowledge someone for having great faith: the Canaanite woman and the centurion. What do they both have in common? Being Gentiles, without the law. On the contrary, His Jewish disciples are told that they have small faith throughout his ministry. Number 9. In Matthew chapter 8, verse 14, we read that Peter has a mother-in-law, which means that he was married. Many know this, but it's such a subtle, little fast-paced detail that is very easy to overlook in that small sentence. Number 10. In Matthew chapter 9, verse 23, when Jesus raises a little girl from the dead, we read that there were flute players in the house. In a funeral back then, it was common to have at least one flute player, and the funeral normally took place on the same day that the person died. The climate probably played a huge role in doing that. On top of that, a dead person was considered to make the house unclean, ritually and of course in general. Number 11. Beelzebub, that is mentioned in among other Matthew chapter 10 verse 25, was a Canaanite deity. The name means Lord of the Flies, which some of you probably have heard of. This was one of the ways that Jews would refer to Satan. Number 12. In a parable of the weeds in Matthew chapter 13 verse 24, all points to that the weed that Jesus is referring to here, given what's unfolding in the story, is what is called darnel weed. This was a big nightmare for a farmer. Not even an expert could see the difference between the wheat and his wheat until the wheat has grown itself up and being ready for reaping. Darnel weed is also poisonous and could result in that the worker becoming dizzy and nauseous. Number 13. Before we get to chapter 14 of Matthew's Gospel account, halfway through the book, Matthew has made nothing less than 9 commentary remarks in the area of fulfilled prophecies about Jesus. I actually used this as an argument for early dating of the Gospel account, which you can see in this previous video. Number 14. In case you were wondering what time Jesus was walking on water, Matthew chapter 14 verse 25 say it was in the 4th watch of the night. That is between 3 and 6 a.m. So, from 14 chapters in Matthew, we have now gone through 14 cultural context backstage nuggets from his Gospel account. But we are just halfway. There are 28 chapters in Matthew's Gospel account. So how about we call it a day here and make the video more YouTube-friendly length and perhaps less information overload. And I will do my best to make a part 2 and finish the list, if you guys want. Let me know.